Hello, my lovely Amity Bloom family. My name is Nazy, and today I'm going to be doing a journal with me. In my wonderful personal journal that you all have grown to love just like I do. As you can see, I'm going to be focusing on these pages right here. I am not in love with the decoration and I want to switch things up a bit, so let's grab our journals, grab our supplies, and let's begin. Here's the page that I'm going to be decorating, and I was undecisive as if I wanted to put a pocket on the page or if I wanted to do a flip out. Normally when one is trying to cover up something that you have already previously decorated, you're left with that ultimate decision of should I cover it up, and the hardest part, what am I going to cover it up with? So I decided to go back to my roots and to start painting again. There's something so magical about color. The ability to take a paintbrush, dip it in pigment, and draw whatever comes to your soul. I fell in love with painting since I was little, but I wasn't really that great at it. It wasn't until I realized that I didn't really care. As long as it brought me happiness, who cares if my lines were crooked, if my shadowing wasn't right, or if I didn't know how to mix my colors. I decided to pursue it, and I became more comfortable with drawing and with painting in high school. It was such a beautiful and creative outlet for me. I remember I became obsessed with painting, and I even painted rooms in my wall. Rooms in my wall? Walls in my room. If you're wanting to paint or wanting to experiment with watercolor in your journals, but you're afraid to or nervous that you're going to mess it up, my biggest advice is just go for it. You will have so much fun, and you will find how relaxing and how therapeutic it is to take an image that you might have in your mind or a picture that you were inspired by and to transfer it onto paper, and even more importantly, into your journal, and it will be there for years to come. So I'm just shading in the little leaves on the stem, and I actually encountered a little happy accident down at the bottom. That little leaf on the left looked a little too lopsided for me, and it just didn't look proportional. But instead of becoming frustrated and flustered, I decided to just mark it with the same paint just to let me know that I need to cut or trim that off later on. Now that I'm looking at it, I actually love the happy little accident that I had. It makes it look more abstract, and it kind of gives it a Asian-esque type of a feel, so I kind of regret cutting it now, but this just goes to prove what the wonderful Bob Ross once said: there are no mistakes, just happy accidents. And you know, those little accidents at the end, or those journal pages that you thought you wouldn't like in the beginning, end up being one of your favorites. Now I'm painting little paint samples of the different watercolor shades that I used to paint the flower and the stem. And I decided to also include a little bit of grass at the bottom. I thought that it would level out the painting, and since I had something in the center and on the left side, I thought I needed to include something on the bottom. And the whole aesthetic of this little watercolor painting is really, really beautiful to me because it reminds me of a special day that my partner and I had. We were in this field and there were tons of wildflowers all around us, but a really special and beautiful pink flower stood out to me. And it symbolized more than a flower to me. It symbolized myself. It symbolized my future daughter, my mother, all of the women that have bloomed into beautiful flowers in my family, and I knew that there was no better way to capture this memory than through a painting. Now I'm finishing up the details on the painting. I was trying to experiment with adding little lines and shapes with the white Jelly Roll pen, but it wasn't really working out, probably because of the chalky watercolors, but it still looked beautiful, and now I'm just trying to figure out if I want to include that little painting as a pocket or a journaling card. I decided to put the little painting aside and treat it as a journaling card instead. So I grabbed this really beautiful envelope that I made out of a vintage music paper, not tea stained. I find that it's a lot easier to create envelopes this way because the paper hasn't been through a natural aging process or an artificial aging process, and it doesn't tear or break when you try to fold it. Applying double-sided tape on all sides except for one so that you can leave a little bit of room for a tuck spot to be created. You can put ephemera in there and it's kind of like a secret little pocket. The envelope was a little too bare for my liking, so I wanted to decorate it, and I reached for my vintage fabric. This was some beautiful purple rose fabric that I purchased from a flea market, and I'm just taking my pinking shears and trimming along the edges, creating a little border, and the perfect thing about this is that it prevents it from fraying, which is a double bonus for me. One of my favorite things to do is decorate tuck spots, pockets, envelopes with little decorative pieces of paper or fabric. They really make your journaling pages come to life, and this is why I always encourage you guys not to throw your scraps away. It's those little tiny scraps that really and truly change the whole outlook of your journaling page, and with some simple materials and not too much of them, you can create a beautiful page. So I'm collaging my washi tape and my fabrics in a trio of 3. This is a rule that I apply not only on my journaling pages, but for my journals and anything that I create. It's the rule of thirds, and you guys might be already familiar with this rule, but it's basically the eye is more attracted or sees things in groups of odd numbers more appealing. So I really love applying this rule to my journaling pages, and sometimes I do get carried away, as you can see later on. I don't stick to that rule that often, but I do like to begin with it. I'm folding that vintage book page, and I love including vintage book pages, especially the ones that have that creamy vanilla color to them already. I chose it because it kind of matches with all of the colors in my journal, and I think it matches perfectly with that tan colored washi up at the top. And if you pay attention, the ledger lines, some of them are blue, some of them are red, purple. The floral fabric that I chose was purple. The little strip of fabric above the rose was pink. Everything that I put into my journal, I try to match up color-wise. I'm now placing that floral painting on top of some vintage book paper and creating a little tuck spot from it. I'm going to take it to my sewing machine, and this way I can have a pocket in the middle and journal on the back. Do you really see how the wildflowers grow? This was a phrase that kept coming into my mind, and I felt it was perfect to write it because not only does it represent the beautiful wildflowers that my partner and I saw, it also represents people. Do you really know how a person is truly through the internet, through social media, or even in your day-to-day life? Every day you'll meet certain people that are different from you, and you never know their backstory. But one thing is certain, they are all beautiful wildflowers growing in the same meadow as you and me. Now I'm writing down the lyrics to a song that is very special to my partner and I. It's called Going to California, and this is a song that marks a very special time in our relationship. And I love doing this when there's a particular song that kind of introduces the memory or the journaling that I want to introduce. Sometimes a few simple lyrics is all you need to start a memory going, or to start a journaling page, or as a journaling prompt. Something else that I have been doing is using my wallpaper scraps and using them as little page starters where I can write the date or a little quote up at the top. You've seen me use it in the previous page as well on the back and right here in this pocket. And collaging them with little paper scraps and washi tape. It's a perfect way to start off a journaling page when you don't know how to decorate it or how to start off. It makes a simple page a little bit more decorative without using fancy materials. I also really love writing my random thoughts on the side of my pages. It kind of makes it a little bit more eclectic and kind of quirky, and I love that special aspect of having to turn your journal page around to see your random thoughts. And I especially love including them in cool little places such as the side of a text spot or on top of a pocket. It kind of creates like a puzzle piece that is, written throughout your journal and makes it a lot more special to you. And that's the finished journaling spread. I had a lot of fun filming this, and I think the most fun that I had was doing that little painting and making it interactive by creating it into a journal card and a pocket, and then creating that little envelope so that I can put other ephemera in there. It's just the simplicity of this page, along with the colors, along with the meaning. It's just perfect. So I truly hope that you guys enjoyed this journal with me. If you want more journal with me just like this in the future, definitely leave a thumbs up to let me know that you want to see more videos that are like this, where it's just me journaling and sharing a little bit more about my ideas, my thoughts, and my journal, of course. So definitely leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe if you want to be a part of the Amity Bloom family, and until next time, I hope that your day is filled with a huge abundance of peace and love.